So this is Delta Foxtrot Triple Whiskey, my complete VR flight simulator home cockpit. For the cockpit design, the Focke-Wulf 190 was chosen as a reference, pretty much only because I like the layout. It is powered by a PC with an AMD 9800X3D processor and a 7900 XTX graphics card. And the Meta Quest 3 is used as a virtual and mixed reality headset. For the highest level of immersion, the Next Level Racing HF8 haptic seat pad is used for haptic feedback. And here we have the heart of the whole simulator, the FF Beast force feedback joystick, which creates forces of more than 10 kilograms and makes the experience of flying very immersive and realistic. As a grip on the stick, I still use the old and trusty Thrustmaster Warthog. The throttle is also the Thrustmaster Warthog. Additionally, on the right hand side I have a Viper panel just to have some more switches and buttons. As for the rudder pedals, I use the MFG Crosswind BF109 pedals, which don't have force feedback yet, but still they feel very realistic with the damper kit. In the center console I have the Stream Deck Plus, which can be used to simulate various devices such as radios, transponder or autopilot. The whole upper part of the instrument panel is non-functional for the simulator. Why did I choose to do that? Because I don't want to be limited to one aircraft type, so usually my instrument panel is simulated completely in the virtual reality, and I don't need any real physical instruments. Still, I wanted the cockpit to look real, so that's why I bought some old instruments of real airplanes from eBay and made the cockpit look as realistic as possible. Okay, so let's jump into the cockpit for a short flight in Microsoft Flight Simulator using the SimWorks RV8. Everything is recorded inside the Quest 3. Here you can see me climbing into the cockpit using the real-world view. And then for comparison also in the virtual view of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay, canopy closed. Now I switch on the mixed reality view. Switch the fuel selector to right. Check my controls. Elevator, rudder. Now switch on the fuel pump. And use the max switch and starter to start the engine. And mixture to rich. As you can see, the control stick moves forward as we have now airflow over the elevator. This is all simulated by the FFbeast software. Of course I have to close my seatbelt here as we want to stay as realistic as possible. Fuel pump off. Strobe lights on, I forgot that. Generator on, avionics master switch on. Now transponder on and standby. And Squawk 7000, which is the standard VFR squawk in Germany. Now that the Garmin 530 has finished booting, you can see me using the Stream Deck to press enter. Okay, flaps up and taxi holding point runway 26 via Foxtrot, Charlie and Alpha. This is my home airport, Braunschweig, AKO code Echo Delta Victor Echo, and I use freeware scenery here and it looks 100% realistic. See the windsock here, we will have quite a bit of crosswind from the right on takeoff. Okay, so we reached holding point Alpha of runway 26. Parking brake set for run-up and pre-flight checks. Mixture goes to full rich for run-up and takeoff. Okay, throttle to 1800 RPM. Then cycle the prop RPM lever 3 times. Next, check the magnetos from both to right, both, left, and back to both. If you look closely at the stick here, you can see the vibrations at low RPMs. For takeoff, fuel pump goes on and transponder to altitude mode. Now you can see a very simple demonstration of using the Stream Deck to program the GNS 530. As you can see, I press the Direct to button and enter the ICAO code of my destination airport, Echo Delta Bravo Charlie, which is Cockpit. This is just a very simple thing to do in mixed reality using the Stream Deck. However, in pure virtual reality you could never do that because you simply cannot see the Stream Deck and the buttons and so on. So you could only use it with the mouse in VR. But yeah, I like mixed reality much more here to do this. Okay, cleared for takeoff, runway 26, VFR departure via Echo 1. We have a crosswind from the right, so stick into wind and expecting to use some left rudder here to keep it straight. The CDI can be also adjusted using the Stream Deck. Now you can see me playing around with the autopilot a little bit. I set the altitude to 2,500 feet for cruise. Then I switch on the autopilot. Adjust the heading for current heading, then switch on heading mode and switch on altitude mode. Since I'm not yet at my desired altitude, I switch to vertical speed and adjust the climb rate using the mouse here because I don't have that on the Stream Deck. Adjust the heading, which makes the aircraft turn left towards the desired track. And now I switch on the nav mode to make the aircraft automatically follow the programmed path of the GNS 530. As you can see, unfortunately the FFB stick does not yet move correctly with the autopilot commands. That is something that's still coming in a software update, hopefully. I can always switch from mixed reality to pure VR mode. Here, for example, to switch the fuel tanks from right to left. And back to mixed reality. Okay, I'm almost reaching my destination. Disconnecting the autopilot by using the red button on the stick. Before I land, I'm going to perform a bit of aerobatics over the airfield. When flying aerobatics, at first you should always make sure there's no loose items in the cockpit and the seat belts are tight. Okay, coming in for a low pass. As you can see here, also we have quite a bit of crosswind from the north. Cockpit Airport is a former Soviet military airport, and today it's used by the German Aerospace Center for testing unmanned aircraft systems. Again, I'm using some very realistic freeware scenery here. Obviously, I also have to do a flyby of the tower. Coming in to land on runway 25 in Cockpit. And that was it. Thank you for joining me on this mixed reality flight, and feel free to leave a like or a comment.